गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन भज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन भज जन रंजन यमुना तीरावनचारि यमुना तीरावनचारि जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जय। ग्रंथ श्रीमद् भागवतम की। So we'll do Manglacha. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Himate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashat Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratushe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarobhesha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim Yat kripatam ham vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. So today we'll be discussing about the disappearance of a very, very special devotee for ISKCON. And we all know that Prabhupada, throughout his journey, right from 1965 to 1977, he never gave any announcement like that, except for this disciple. And he himself said that we should honor his disappearance, like any other Acharya. And that's why today is the disappearance of Jayananda Thakur. So we'll discuss some of his glories, something about his character. And actually there are many, many glories, innumerable glories. So there is one of his godbrother named Vishoka Das. He has written an amazing book, The Beautiful Life of Jayananda Thakur. It's a 300-page book describing many of his glories. And actually if you see that his character is actually the essence of Krishna consciousness. We see many, many amazing qualities in him, many, many amazing things in him. And that too in those initial days, if we see, there were not many books that were available, very few books that were available, very few books Prabhupada had written, printed that time. And just following those books, reading those books, taking the instructions to the heart, he got all such amazing qualities. So little bit background about him. So he was a person, he came to Krishna consciousness in 1967. And he comes from, it's described, he comes from upper middle class family. And his parents were also quite well-to-do. So he went to college in Ohio State University, Columbus. And it's described he was very intelligent, very good looking, very, very attractive. But then he was never satisfied with that. Whatever the worldly glamour, becoming successful in material life and all those things, he was just not fitting into it. And later, even though having a very good degree, he got a degree from mechanical engineering. Even after having that degree, instead of taking a job, he became a cab driver. So later it was asked by devotees that why did you take up this profession? And he said that he never felt comfortable in that association, or he never fitted into that upper class association. So he's a very, very simple person even before coming to Krishna consciousness, and he was searching for something else. So in 1967, this was the time he was really unhappy with his life, dissatisfied, didn't know where to go, what to do. And sometimes he was having even suicidal thoughts, it's described. So that was the time he saw a flyer. So he saw a flyer in the newspaper that Prabhupada is coming to that university, the same university from which he studied. That time he was not in Ohio, he was in San Francisco. But he saw that flyer, he read that some person is coming or this great personality is coming. So he went there just to listen to him, just to hear from him. And that was the time that actually when he went there in the university, he heard Prabhupada. That was the turning point in his life. And when he heard Prabhupada for the first time, that was the time he understood this is what I was looking for in my life. And his entire life changed after that, hearing the philosophy of Krishna consciousness by Prabhupada. And he described that even though before that he was not very much spiritually inclined as such, but still after listening to Prabhupada, after hearing Prabhupada, he got that desire that I want to do this my entire life. I want to serve Srila Prabhupada. So this was the year 1967. That was the year when he decided that he'll surrender his life to Prabhupada, he'll serve in the mission of Prabhupada. And that was the time Prabhupada had just finished writing one of his books. That was Nectar of Devotion. So Prabhupada had written that book, but there was no money there as such to print those books. And the temple was as such struggling there to print those books, to print more and more copies of these books. And the most important reason was because most of the devotees that were there, or the practicing devotees that were there, they were the street people or the hippies. Mostly the unproductive people, the rejected people from the society, they were the ones coming there, and hardly anybody had some money that time. And in fact, that was the area called as, that place was San Francisco, where Prabhupada had gotten a new temple. He had written this book. And most of the people, it was described that time San Francisco was the hub or the headquarters of these people. Just like now we have Mayapur as the headquarters of ISKCON. So headquarters for hippies was San Francisco. That was a place filled with clubs and all those places where these people used to come hang around. And mostly they were the ones coming for this. Some of them became attracted to Prabhupada and started coming. So hardly there was any money, few devotees were there, and that was the time Jayananda Prabhu came in, and his entire life savings, whatever he had. So he had a huge amount, that was $5,000. Of course, now it doesn't appear huge, but that time, 50 years ago, it was quite a huge amount. And the entire amount he gave to Srila Prabhupada, the entire amount he gave for the printing of the books. And Prabhupada was very, very happy, very, very pleased with him. Because that time money was needed. And Jayananda Thakur gave his entire life savings. So after that, Jayananda Thakur, he joined the temple, but still he was driving the cab. The reason being that there was no money in the temple, money was needed. So he used to go out in the morning, drive the cab the entire week, and whatever the earnings were there, he used to give to the temple. That's how he was serving. And apart from that, he used to do many services. He used to do variety of services in the temple as well. One of the kind of services he loved very much, most of the services he used to do were very, very menial services. Mostly devotees would see him taking out the trash can, taking out the garbage, cleaning the dishes, cleaning the kitchen, and those kinds of services he used to like the most, and he would be engaged in that. And not just he would engage other devotees also. He would inspire other devotees also to serve with him. And one time he was given like the option, or when seeing his sincerity, seeing his mood of service, devotees told him that why don't you become the temple president? And he said, no, that's not for me. He never wanted, like we see from his all his pastime, whatever he did, he never wanted any service. He never wanted any position. He was just looking for service, and very, very hard he was working the entire day. And one of the qualities that devotees tell about him, that you'll never see him doing nothing. Always engaged, completely engaged from the morning. He'll go out first, attend the morning program, the class, go out and work the entire day. Evening, come back from that, and then serve in the temple. That was his schedule in the initial days. And after some time, he gave up his profession, or gave up driving the cab, and joined the temple full time. So that was the time he started serving in the temple. And one of the things that was described is that he had a strong liking for prasadam. So he used to consume large quantities of prasad, and also encourage other devotees also to take as much as possible. So one time it's described one of the devotees was helping him building the Rath. So this devotee's name was Jambavan. So he was helping him build the Rath. So Jayanand Prabhu got a huge plate of prasadam for him. Huge plate covered with rice and so many items, and he got for that devotee. And now this devotee was surprised that, do you think I can eat this much? And Jayanand Prabhu encouraged him. Jayanand Prabhu said that prasadam is non-different from Krishna. You eat it, it's very tasty, and you'll become happy by eating it. And he encouraged him that the devotee actually ate the entire plate. And surprisingly, after that, Jayanand Prabhu got one more plate. One more plate, the same size with the same quantity for that devotee. And he encouraged him so much that the devotee was struggling to take even the first plate. He finished the entire second plate as well. That was the liking he had for prasadam, and also used to encourage others to take prasadam. And he used to quote Prabhupada. He used to say that he used to quote like that Prabhupada said that we should take prasadam so much that we cannot even walk. Something like that. But of course, on a serious note, he worked also very hard. It was not like that he'd take prasad and then the yoga mats are out or something. He worked very hard. He would take prasadam an entire day he would be serving. And actually devotees describe that no one would ever see him going to bed ever. Because after everybody slept in the temple, he used to go to bed. And before anybody would wake up, he was the first one to wake up. And some of the devotees reported he hardly slept for 2-3 hours in the night. An entire day busy in serving, engaging in service. That was his mood, completely engaged in service. One more thing about him, that whenever he would be serving with devotees, whenever he would be doing any service with the devotees, he would always be talking about Krishna book. That was one of his favorite books. So he used to read from that book and always be speaking about the glories, some pastimes of the Lord. And this was after he left his body. After he left his body in 1976, a note was found in the cover of the Krishna book. And this was a very, very amazing note where he wrote different things about this book and different things about his own realizations. So I'll just read that part of the note. Very amazing realizations he wrote. So in that note he wrote, as you begin to apply the book's clearly described principles to your life, you will quickly experience a new realm of mental poise and inner happiness, even in midst of most trying circumstances. These were the things he had written on the points from the book and from his own realizations. Second point he wrote, you will worry less and enjoy more. Your power of concentration, memory, understanding, creativity will increase. You'll work more energetically, more confidently, efficiently, as well as relate better to people. You'll succeed more easily at whatever you are trying to do. And then he says, at night you'll fall asleep immediately. In morning you'll wake thoroughly refreshed, even after less hours of sleep than you normally need. And then final line he wrote, consequently you'll understand real purpose of life and unique role in creation. So amazing realizations he wrote in that book, and this was found after his passing away in that cover of the book. So another aspect, so this was one thing that was described, that he loved Krishna book a lot, and wherever he used to go, he used to carry this book with him, always reading, always describing the glories of the Lord to other devotees, discussing with them. Another thing that devotees describe is that he never liked to be praised. Whenever someone would glorify him, whenever someone would start speaking, praising about him, he would immediately leave that place. So one time what happened was devotees started glorifying him, and one of the sannyasis who is there, Danveer Maharaj, that time he was Danveer Prabhu, he was there with him. So both were there and devotees were glorifying him, speaking nice things, that he is very hardworking devotee, very encouraging devotee, always giving others prasadam and so many things. And then after hearing all that, Jayananda Prabhu just looked at Danveer Prabhu and said, oh, this is the nature of devotees. They are like that, they like to appreciate. And this is just nature, they are so nice. But he never thought or never took it on his own self. He never considered himself worthy of praise. That was his mood whenever he was glorified. And another thing which devotees observed about him, that one thing one should never do in front of him, that is criticizing other devotees. Even though he would not say anything, he would not respond anything, whenever someone would be criticizing someone, he would immediately leave that place. Never hear those things. So two things he would never like. One is getting appreciated and also hearing some criticism of other devotees. These two things he never liked. And then there are many, many stories about how he was the friend of everyone. So many people loved him, not only devotees, but even outsiders, because of his behavior, because of his charming and the very nice behavior he had. So sometimes it's described he would go down in the market to buy bhoga for the Lord, buy some things. He would talk to these Italian vendors and all those people that were there. And he used to speak so nicely. He was so friendly that sometimes he would just go to buy some bhoga and come back with huge truckloads of bananas and other fruits. These people used to gift him a lot because he was so charming and so attractive. His nature was like that. And everyone loved him. And sometimes he would not go to the market, some other devotees would be going in place of him. So these people would ask him, where is that devotee? And he would not say, these people would not say Jayananda, they would say Johnny Anand. Where is Johnny Anand? Like that they will ask for him that where is this devotee? So that's what we see, that he was friendly to everyone and everyone loved his behavior. Everyone was charmed by his behavior. And it's described that when he used to chant, he would chant his 16 rounds just sitting down at one place and not even moving an inch. Completely absorbed in chanting the holy names, and he used to love to chant. So morning he'll wake up, do all the services, chant his rounds, and then he'll go out for other services. That's what his schedule was. About the Rath Yatra, we all know. Prabhupada himself said that after Rath Yatra, the first Rath Yatra that happened, that we should take a picture of Jayananda and put it in front of every Rath Yatra that happens. Because he was the one who built and designed the first ever Rath cart that was there. And there was nothing available that time. He built it actually from scratch. That's what he did. And that's why he was described as the king of Rath Yatra. So one time this happened in 1976. Prabhupada wanted to make a big statement in New York. So basically in New York, there was one of the most busiest streets that was there. It was the Fifth Avenue. That time it was considered the most busiest street, like the most business used to happen there. Many people used to go from there. America's central point was there. The most important place in America was that place. And in 1976, Prabhupada wanted to make a statement. He wanted to do a Rath Yatra at that place. So devotees worked really hard. They got permission somehow or the other. And they got permission for doing three carts, for moving 3 carts in that place, 3 Rathas in that place. And that time, Jayananda was the one who built everything, who built the entire cart right from scratch, worked very, very hard, and got all the articles by himself, got the woods, got different articles. And sometimes it is described that there would not be enough devotees to help him out, to serve him. So he'd just call random people going on the street. He would just invite them, ask them, do you want to do some service for God? And like that, he would encourage them and engage them in services. And he would be so charming, so amazing in his speaking, the way of speaking, that everyone would get charmed and do some or the other service. But of course, it was not like that he'll engage them in service and go away himself. He would work the hardest. He would work very, very hard and also encouraged others also to engage in service. So one time what happened, one time he was working late in the night. One time he was working late in the evening. He was below the cart and he was fixing something. He was fixing something in the cart. And that time some hippies passed by from that area. Some hippies passed by, 2 hippies were there. They passed by and they saw this person, only his legs were visible. So they saw the legs and they saw someone is doing something. And they just stood at that place. And when he understood that someone is there, someone is standing, right from below, Jayanand, right from below, while doing his activity, while doing his service, he started preaching to them. And nothing was visible, only his legs were visible and he was doing something. And right while fixing the cart, he also started speaking about Krishna consciousness, started preaching to those 2 people. And somehow the manner he used to speak, the way he used to speak, it was so attractive that they actually stood and listened for a long time to him. That was the way, maybe because he was so kind, so non-envious of everyone. Everyone used to get attracted from him. Everyone used to get attracted to him. And he never aspired for any positions. He never aspired for anything, always engaged in service. And one of the famous pastimes we all know, that when Prabhupada used to come to the temple, so other devotees would all surround Prabhupada. Other devotees would be surrounding him, trying to get more and more of his darshan, more and more hearing from Prabhupada. All of them wanted to be around Prabhupada. But Jayananda would be busy in his service. And rather Prabhupada would call out, where is Jayananda? And then devotees would go call out to him, and he would be busy engaged in some menial service, and he would say, "Oh, how can I go? I'm so dirty. I'm so fallen. I cannot go," and all. But Prabhupada would insist that no, I want to meet him. And then when Prabhupada would insist, he would finally go there, pay his obeisances, greet Prabhupada, and then after some time, stay for some time and quickly come back and engage in his service. Just go and start doing his service, whatever he was doing. So this is how it was described, that more than being with Prabhupada, he would like to serve Prabhupada. He'd like to see that all the activities are going, all the activities in temple are alive. That was one of his characteristics. And one devotee shared this, he shared this recently, around few years back, he was sharing how he became a devotee and Jayanand was the one who pulled him into the mission. So this person who was sharing, he was a hippie that time in San Francisco. And he was Jayanand was out on the streets, and Jayanand happened to meet this person. And this person, devotee, was sharing that how he hadn't taken bath in a month. So hippies that time, they had some regulative principles. Just like we have regulative principles, they have, and one of them was they were not allowed to take bath. This was against their principles. So this person hadn't taken any bath in a month. And Jen caught him, spoke with him, and he actually brought him to the temple. He brought him to the temple, put him in the shower, made him take bath, and then fed him nice prasadam and spoke very nicely to him. And that's how this devotee was recalling that was the first experience, and after that he became a devotee. That was the charm of Jayananda Prabhu. And also, he used to give prasadam to everyone, not just to devotees, to merchants, to everywhere he used to go, he used to distribute prasadam and speak very nicely to them. And one other thing was described about the cart building, how he was engaged in the different services of building the cart. So in 1976, as we already discussed, in New York City, they had got permission to organize the Rath Yatra. And that was the first time they were organizing the Rath Yatra in that area. And even till now, even till date, they are organizing the Rath Yatra in the same place. That was the 5th Avenue. So what happened was, so devotees, the previous day, they were building the cart. They were working very, very hard building the cart. And next day was the Rath Yatra. So next day at 10 a.m. they were supposed to have the Rath Yatra. And previous day, till 6 p.m. in the evening, they were engaged, they were busy building the Ratha, building the cart, and it was finished. And then somehow what happened is, this place was near the Hudson River. And there came a huge storm. A huge wind blew in that area, and the entire cart toppled. The entire cart which they had worked so hard, did so much hard work, all toppled, and the entire cart, the chassis was broken, the pipes were twisted, and the entire cart was literally destroyed. This was the previous day. The next day, Rath Yatra was supposed to happen at 10 a.m. This happened in the evening, and the first person to come up to again build it was Jayananda. So he encouraged few devotees, inspired few devotees, and all of them came together. And the entire night they were engaged in building the Yatra. And the entire night they were busy, worked really hard. And in the morning, right before the Rath Yatra, right before the time when the Yatra was about to start, they were actually able to build the Rath Yatra again successful, or able to rebuild again or restore the Rath cart back. So that was the one thing about him, that whenever there was some service, whenever something was there, he was always in the front. He was always there to do the service himself and also to inspire others to engage in the service. Another one of the pastime was about a new person. So new person once had come to the temple, and he went to the temple president. He asked that, I want to do some service. So some temple president told him, you go to the trash person. There is a trash person, you assist him in his service. And that time, that was Jayananda Prabhu, who was engaged in the trash activity, taking out the trash and throwing it out. So this person went with him, he did some service. And finally, after the service, when he came back, he said that if the trash man in this place is so nice, so amazing, I can imagine how amazing the devotees will be. That was the way how Jayananda used to attract everyone, and how he was very, very glorious, very, very charming devotee. And it's described when devotees used to glorify him, when they used to speak nice things about him, they used to have it was like they were having 5 mouths. Means he had limitless glories, many, many glories he had, unlimited glories. So that is the reason everyone loved Jayananda, and Jayananda used to also love everyone, had nice relations with everyone. Another thing is described how he was always cautious about wasting any money or wasting any money uselessly. And he had a very, very amazing service attitude. He knew Prabhupada's mood. He knew that Prabhupada's program was never to waste even a single penny. And he also followed in his footsteps. So once what happened, devotees had hired a rented truck. And that truck costed $50 per day. So they had hired a truck, they wanted to move some things from one place to another, and they were engaged in that activity. Their devotees worked hard the entire day till the evening and they moved many stuff, but still many things were still left. And so devotees decided we'll keep the truck for ourselves and the next day we'll do the remaining part of the services. But Jayananda said, no, not Jayananda said that we would not take rest. We should not take rest. He said that again, if we keep the truck for another day, it would cost us another $50. So let's finish the service in today itself. And devotees were very tired. They were not in any mood to do any service. They just wanted to take rest. But somehow or the other, just because Jayananda encouraged them, and it was described, he never used to push devotees. He just used to inspire them, sometimes bribe them with prasadam. And that was the way he used to encourage devotees to do some service, to engage in any service. And some or the other, because he encouraged everyone, they all engaged in that service, and in that night only they completed the entire service. That was the mood. And one of the devotees is described, so one of the devotees worked very hard. He was very, very tired. He immediately went to bed and slept. He didn't take any prasadam. So Jayananda went to his room in the midnight, woke him up and popped a samosa in his mouth. Here, take some prasad, eat something. And that's how Jayananda was always caring for devotees, engaging them in services and always caring for them. And also, as we all know, all these qualities are how he was friendly to everyone, very, very hardworking, and never wanted any recognition. So one time Prabhupada had come to San Francisco. In that time, Jayananda had come in the car to pick him up. So Prabhupada was in the back seat of the car, Jayananda was driving the car, and there was one more devotee. And Prabhupada asked, who is driving the car? And that devotee told, Jayananda is driving the car. And Prabhupada was very, very pleased. Prabhupada said, oh, he's the one who gave me $5,000 just to print my books. That was how much Prabhupada was pleased. And Prabhupada, he gave him a distinction which he gave to none of the devotees. So when he passed away in May 1, 1977, Prabhupada wrote a letter to him. Of course, this letter was written after his passing away. And very, very amazing contents in the letter. So what Prabhupada wrote, I'll just read out. Prabhupada said, my dear Jayananda, please accept my blessings. I am feeling very intensely your separation. In 1967, you joined me in San Francisco. You were driving my car and chanting Hare Krishna. First man to give me some contribution, $5,000 for printing my books. And after that, you have rendered favorable service to Krishna in different ways. I so hope at the time of your death, you were remembering Krishna. And as such, you have been promoted to eternal association of Krishna. If not, if you have any tinge of material desire, you have gone to celestial kingdom to live with the demigods for many thousands of years and enjoy the most opulent life of material existence. From there, you can promote yourself to spiritual world. But even if one fails to promote himself to spiritual world, at that time he comes down again on the surface of this globe and takes birth in a big family like some yogis or brahmanas or aristocratic family, where there is again chance of reviving Krishna consciousness. And in the last line he wrote, but as you are hearing Krishna Kirtan, I am sure you were directly promoted to Krishna Loka. So that's what Prabhupada wrote about Jayananda after his passing away. And then he wrote that Krishna has done a great favor to you not to continue your deceased body and has given a suitable place for your service. Thank you very much. Your ever well-wisher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. So this was the letter he wrote. And just imagine getting such a letter from Srila Prabhupada or such appreciation from Srila Prabhupada. So Jayananda was a very, very glorious devotee, very, very great Vaishnava, and Prabhupada could understand. Prabhupada could understand his qualities. And that's why he glorified him a lot. And always he used to, Prabhupada, as he wrote in the letter, that you are always listening to Krishna Kirtans. So definitely you had gone back to Krishna Loka. And this was one of his favorite activities, listening to Krishna Kirtans or reading the Krishna book or speaking to about others about Krishna. And then there is one more incident. So this incident was narrated by a sannyasi. His name is His Holiness Chandramauli Maharaj, Chandramauli Swami Maharaj. So he was telling he had a disciple. So this Maharaj had a disciple in 2006. This is an incident of 2006. So he had a lady disciple and she was working as a hospice. So hospice means one who works in the hospital and he takes care of the dying people who are terminally ill, who are about to die. So people who take care of such people. So he had one disciple in Denver, in Colorado, and she was working as a hospice. And one day, one lady came to him. One lady came to her disciple, one lady came for treatment. And when they started talking, when they started discussing, she realized that this is the mother of Jayananda. And then she was pretty amazed, she was ecstatic, and she started speaking about Jayananda, that how glorious he was, how amazing he was, how amazingly he served in the mission, and how the devotees loved him a lot. And her mother was very, very pleased. Mother was very, very pleased hearing about all that. Even all the relatives were there. And they were also very, very pleased. Because they knew that they knew earlier that Jayananda had joined the Hare Krishnas, but it seems they were not much in touch that time. But now hearing about his glories, hearing about how everyone loved him and how nicely he served in the Hare Krishna movement, they were all very, very happy. And incidentally, her mother, Jayananda's mother, passed away in that hospital, being taken care of by the disciple. And Maharaj was saying that this is how this lady who gave birth to such a glorious disciple, such a glorious person, who served in the mission of Srila Prabhupada, selflessly served in the mission of Srila Prabhupada, how Krishna took care of her and how he brought her to an association of a devotee, and she left her body in the association of one of his disciples or one of the devotees. This is how Krishna took care of her. This is what the Maharaj was focusing in this. And then there were many other incidents also about Jayananda Prabhu. One of the incidents describes how he was completely fearless. So one time devotees had gone out, they were chanting on the streets, they had gone out for Harinam. And Jayananda also used to do Harinam, also loved to do Harinam, also used to lead the Harinam. And one time there was someone huge, gigantic person who was there. There was a person, very huge, gigantic person, weighing more than 300 pounds, beard and huge beard he had, very, very frightening looking person. And he was drunk that time. And devotees were going out at Harinam and this person was looking very, very angrily. And anyone could make out now he's planning to do something or he will create some ruckus here. So he started coming up to the devotees and Jayananda, who was there in the Sankirtan, he came right in front of him. And this person who was very, very, very frightened and very, very fear inspiring and others were getting fearful seeing him, in that drunk state, he looked at Jayananda in the eyes and he shouted angrily. He said, "Stop this Kirtan or stop this activity." And Jayananda, he was not moved, not affected. He also looked him back in the eyes and he said, "You chant Hare Krishna." So this shows how he was fearless, never afraid of anyone. And after that person, he just looked down and he went away. He did not do anything. Then there comes the pastime of his leaving the body or the last pastimes of his life. So it's described when he left his body, all the people who were there, even the Italian merchants who used to go and who used to have so many dealings with, and even the ordinary people that were there, they were also crying when they came to know that he has passed away. How much he was loved by everyone. As we sing in that Shad Goswami Astakam, Dhira Dhira Janapriyo. So he was loved not just by the devotees, but even by the non-devotees, even by the hippies, even by all those people who were there. When all of them came to know that Jayananda has left this world, everyone was crying, everyone was shedding tears. That's how much they loved this. So in his last time, we know in 1976, he got this condition, he got leukemia, that kind of cancer. And that time he was in the wheelchair, he couldn't walk. But even in that position, he was busy preaching Krishna consciousness, busy preaching the glories of the Lord. Even the time when he was sick, he helped in organizing the Los Angeles Rath Yatra. the first Rath Yatra that was held in Los Angeles in 1976. This was even in that position when when he knew he didn't have much time, he was about to die, completely engaged in Krishna's service. And one of the one of the very amazing pastimes which this disciple or his god brother writes, this is a very touching pastime which happened in his last days. So Janan was there in the hospital. That time he was admitted in a place in California, San Diego, and he had this cancer condition. He was not in a very good condition that time, and one of the devotees had come to meet him. So a devotee had come, brought some items for brought some items for Jayananda. So he came to the room, and then the devotee started sitting on the bed. And Jayananda stopped him that, no, please don't sit there. And then this devotee was surprised. So then he looked at the bed and he saw that there was a photo of Prabhupada at the head of the bed, which was propped up by that pillow. And that's why Jayananda told him, don't sit there, Prabhupada is there. And Jayanand himself was lying on the opposite side on the floor in a small space. And this devotee asked, why you are doing like this? Your health is not good, means you have such a worst condition. And Jayanand said that in all the years I served in this movement, I never got such a nice bed, such a comfortable bed. Means this was after he became a devotee. Of course, previously he was from a nice family. But he said that all the time I served in this movement, I served in this mission, I never had such a comfortable bed. And finally, when I thought that this is meant for enjoyment by my spiritual master, not by me. And even in that condition, he was lying on the opposite side on the floor, and he kept the photo of Prabhupada on the bed. This was his very great devotion towards Srila Prabhupada. And one more final visit that devotee describes, his final visit to Jayananda. This was around 2 weeks before he passed away. He left from this world. So that time when the devotee visited him, he was very weak. Of course, because he had cancer and he was about to die. And literally when a person has cancer, I myself have seen one person, I myself know that the bones start melting and the body becomes literally pathetic, very miserable. So in that condition, this devotee had gone to meet him, and he thought that I might not see him again. So he started glorifying him, started speaking very nice things about Jayananda, started glorifying him from Bhagavatam, from Chaitanya Charitamrita. And Jayananda, he listened to the whole thing. He was just listening to the whole thing, hearing about himself only, hearing about his praise. And this was the only time he never objected to it. He was just smiling. He never waved anything. He never asked them to stop. He just listened to it. And in fact, he was a little pleased that time. So after all this happened, after the devotee glorified him sufficiently, finally the devotee started walking out. And that time, Jayanand got up from his bed. And this devotee understood what Jayanand is about to do. And he said, what are you doing? Have you gone crazy? You just lie on the bed, take rest. Because his body was completely miserable that time. Not in any condition to move or not in any condition to do anything. But even in that condition, Jayanand got up from the bed, started walking towards the devotee. And actually, even in such a weak condition, he paid his obeisances, touched his head to the floor and paid his obeisances to this devotee. And finally hugged that devotee. And that devotee was describing, seeing his condition, he was literally in tears that how he was doing all this, following all the Vaishnava etiquette. So this was Jayananda. So we discussed many things, and the most primarily he was noted, or primary of his glories was for organizing the Rath Yatra, and then encouraging everyone to serve more and more in Prabhupada's mission, feeding devotees with prasadam. Like that, many things are there, many glories are there. And today, as we all know, is his disappearance day. I was hearing in America, they celebrate, he's very much glorified on this date. Many temples glorify him a lot because he did a lot of service there. And one important aspect about his thing was that he always want to serve Srila Prabhupada. All the good qualities he had, and he, more than wanting to be with Srila Prabhupada, he wanted to serve in the mission of Srila Prabhupada. So I would just like to end with this beautiful quote, which is given by Bhakti Vinod Thakur. He says that he reasons ill who says that Vaishnavas die. When thou art still living in sound, Vaishnavas die to live, and living try to spread the holy name around. And we see Jayanand was the perfect emblem of this, who dedicated his entire life to the mission of Srila Prabhupada. and played a major role in spreading the holy name around through organizing these Rath Yatras. And one of the very amazing thing I read, very beautiful description was given in the Vaishnav calendar. So amazing description about Jayananda Prabhu was given in the entire Vaishnav calendar, his description of different activities. So last para I was reading, that was very amazing, beautiful para that was there. So it was described that wherever in the world now a Rath Yatra is happening or Rath Yatra is about to start, and then people are blowing the conch shell and devotees are chanting loudly, they are chanting Jai Jagannath, that is piercing through the sky, that is the chant is being heard everywhere. That time in the spiritual world, Jayanand Prabhu would be looking towards Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada would be nodding his head and saying, "Thank you very much." This was written there, very amazing, I like that. So with this, I would like to pause here. Of course, there are limitless glories, many glories about Jayananda, but these were a few of those. If anyone is interested, we can read that book as well. But one very amazing thing which I could also take from this, that in spite of all the things that were there, even all the less in the initial days, whatever facilities that were there, but still in those facilities and whatever books that were there, because now we have so many books available, so many commentaries of acharyas available, different things. But he just understood, he just read those basic books, the basic philosophy, and just followed the instructions of Prabhupada. And just doing that, all the good qualities manifested, as we discussed, all the amazing qualities got manifested in him. And Prabhupada himself used to say that there is no need of reading any other book. If you just read the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Nectar of Devotion and Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and even the Krishna book, these books are just sufficient. Of course, for better understanding, we read other books and all those things are needed. But just to understand the philosophy and become perfect in our lives, just by reading these books and following the rules and regulations, following the practices in these books, one can actually even get those qualities. So with this, I would like to end. Hare Krishna. Right. I think no questions.
Share realization.
It was very nice to hear Jayan Thakur's glories. You can add some glories. Huh? Okay. I remember one more pastime with Jayanand Thakur is that he introduced Jayapataka Maharaj to Srila Prabhupada. Remember that when Jayapataka Maharaj used to come to, he came first time to ISKCON temple there. The first person to meet was Jayanand Thakur. So he introduced him, he engaged him in the service, gave prasadam. And building the cart that time, that nail pastime is there. It is there. Nice.
So thank you, Prabhu. Very nice to hear the unending glories of Jayananda Prabhu. So very touching to see that how even in those times, these great personalities, there are not much facilities, but still how they became wonderful devotees. So I was just contemplating on that not much facilities, but becoming such wonderful devotees. Now all facilities are there, so what are we doing? And that's the question. And the Vaishnava etiquette and the Vaishnava qualities is what is the ornament of a devotee. And here we see that so many wonderful qualities, loved by everyone, very tolerant, patient, humble, fearless, and how he was paying obeisance even towards the end of his life to a devotee. So all this is really very wonderful. And so it's very inspiring that how someone can be so dedicated to Srila Prabhupada. So we can see Jayananda Prabhu's dedication. And whatever best is there, it is meant for service of spiritual master and Krishna. So these are some points which I would like to meditate on. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much for sharing the wonderful glories of His Grace, Jayanand Prabhu. Very auspicious day. So many points are there to take in and implement. So I also like that point that how whatever he has everything,
he dedicated for the service of his spiritual master in the mission, and very, very humble, and all the time engaged in the service of the Lord and nothing else in the mind. And this point also I like very much that when he dedicated his life later in the later points, Chandramauli Maharaj disciple that. So this pastime shows how Lord will take care of a devotee who dedicates their life for the service of the Lord. He takes care not of the devotee only, but all in the relatives out there. So very, very nice point. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Yeah, nice. Very- Like, yeah, you told like not the worthy of praise. Yeah, how a Vaishnava, a devotee can think like that once. Even if so much of qualities he have, but still also he doesn't want to be praised himself. That's the whole, like one kind of like we called it some like even if humility, yeah, we are showing first that kind of humility, how to develop this kind of things. And also you told, yeah, service attitude, always he was engaging in the services somehow or others. As you told, like even if Prabhupada is coming, the same times it doesn't matter, you go to in front of that one leader, so you have to just show your face kind of say always he's showing the face in the vision of the service. When this kind of qualities a Vaishnava have, how he is like enthusiasm to do some things towards the missions. That's the, and yeah, Prabhuji told like yeah, Vaishnava qualities, like how to be like properly behavior, how to be maintain the like etiquette. So really, it's a true Vaishnava. So first time, so when I saw this kind of photos, going, who is this person? First I saw in this Samaratya that who is that person? Then somehow or other I just put a inquiry. Yeah, I know that one. Oh, that's a great personality. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Prabhuji. It's very happy to hearing about Jayanand Thakur. So what I listened, it's he's a very humble, kindness, charming, and encouraging other devotees to involve in a service, and also dedicated to his spiritual master. So following every instructions of his spiritual master and including his whole body, soul, everything in a service. So he is very, like Jayanand Thakur is a very, very, like he's always in the mode of pleasing the Srila Prabhupada. So that I admit it.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for this nice description of Jayanand Prabhu. So, two things you mentioned he did not like at all, which we like very much, is he never liked praises and he never liked to hear criticism of other devotees. So, these two are the very nice qualities which we also would like to develop. And other than that, he also said that you will never see him doing nothing. Avyartha kalatam. He would never waste his time, always engage in his service from day to night, driving cabs in the evening and then morning programs in the morning. And then he would sleep late in the night and hardly sleep for 2-3 hours and then wake up fresh. That was his amazing quality. And he also said that devotees would be able to do that if they are constantly 24 hours engaged in that service. Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much for a very beautiful description of Jayanand Prabhu. It was very, very nice, and also it was describing like how a pure devotee is, what are the qualities of a pure devotee, and that too to engage in devotional service and sleeping very less and always in the service of the Lord. That was like very, very amazing, and also all the qualities. It's so nice. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, bro. Thank you for this. Like to share the pastime of Jayanand Prabhu. So, like Jayanand Prabhu was always engaged in hearing a Krishna Katha and reading a Krishna book. And like more than being see Prabhupada, he always engaged in a service, served to Srila Prabhupada. And you share the pastime like when he got the bed, like which was very nice, very comfortable, and he dedicated that to Srila Prabhupada. So he shows like how much he is dedicated to the mission of Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, bro. Thank you for the wonderful lecture. It was very amazing to hear all those pastimes and character of Jayan Prabhu. Like hearing such character inspires me to practice bhakti more and more and inculcate such qualities so that we can serve all devotees and Guru Parampara with our services. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for nice pastimes of Jayanand Prabhu. And it is very, very inspiring that Prabhuji used to drive whole day car and he used to pay the bills of ISKCON. And he used to cook prasadam, clean the kitchen, and he used to throw the trash. He is engaged fully in Krishna consciousness. And he always likes prasadam and he also feeds prasadam to devotees. And he always friendly to everyone, complete, and his chanting completes in morning only. That is very nice. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
इंद्रशील बाबा जैनन ठाकुर की जय, प्रभुपाद की जय।